Lila was 13 when she first saw him. It was late autumn, and the fog had already begun rolling in, curling around the corners of the old neighborhood like a living thing. The streets were damp with fallen leaves, the smell of smoke from chimneys mingling with the earthy scent of decay. Most kids had already gone home, but Lila liked walking alone. There was a certain safety in invisibility, in being unseen. She wandered past the abandoned train tracks, her boots crunching over wet gravel, when a flicker of movement caught her eye. Perched atop the rusted rails was a small black cat. One of his eyes gleamed bright amber, sharp against the gray fog. The other seemed shadowed, as though missing or hiding something. He didn't run. He didn't hiss. He simply sat there, watching her. Lila froze. "Hello?" she whispered, unsure if it was the cat or her imagination that would answer. The cat tilted his head, slow and deliberate. Then, without a sound, he hopped down onto the gravel, padding toward her. When she knelt and held out her hand, he nudged it softly, testing her. She smiled, uncertain. "You're coming home with me," she said, as if speaking to an old friend. That night, she cradled him against her chest as the wind moaned through the gaps in her window frame. Outside, the fog pressed against the house like a living thing. But inside, in her room filled with the faint scent of old books and candle wax, the world felt smaller, quieter, safer. She named him Ash. Ash was no ordinary cat. He followed her everywhere, silent and unblinking. He never purred, never meowed, yet she could feel him like a heartbeat beside her. His presence was constant, watching, observing. And then the strange things began. Doors she was certain she had locked opened on their own. Objects shifted when she wasn't looking. Shadows moved where shadows shouldn't be. And always, Ash stared. Not curious, not playful, but knowing. Sometimes, in the dead of night, she would wake and feel his gaze on her, even when he wasn't in the room. It was unsettling, yet comforting in a way she could not explain. One evening, as the moon hung low behind clouds heavy with fog, Ash bolted. Lila ran after him, her boots slipping in the wet leaves, branches scratching at her face and arms. He led her through the forest behind her house, deeper than she had ever dared to go. The fog thickened with every step, swallowing sound, muting the world, leaving only the whisper of her own breath and the soft padding of Ash's paws. Finally, he stopped in a clearing where the fog was thickest. Shapes moved within it, tall, thin, pale figures that flickered at the edge of vision. They were humanoid, but wrong, limbs too long, heads tilting at impossible angles, standing silent, watching. Ash hissed low, a sound that vibrated through Lila's chest. A whisper floated past her ear. "Lila." Her heart slammed. She spun, but the clearing was empty. Ash was gone. And then he reappeared, sitting calmly atop a fallen log, staring at her with those glowing amber eyes. In his mouth, he held a small silver locket. Inside was the picture of a girl she had never seen, a girl with sad eyes, smiling faintly. Lila didn't understand why she knew, deep in her chest, that it mattered. From that day forward, Ash would disappear into the fog every night. Each return brought strange gifts: a cracked watch, a doll missing an eye, a feather black as night. Lila could never figure out where they came from or who they belonged to, but somehow she knew. They were markers, messages from a world she couldn't see, a reality hidden just beyond the fog. And the whispers continued. Soft, distant, calling her name, singing songs that were almost forgotten, almost human. They came from nowhere. They came from everywhere. And Ash always seemed to understand them. As the years passed, Lila grew taller, older, her world expanding, but her bond with Ash deepened. He was still black, still silent, still unnervingly perceptive. But now his presence carried a weight, a sense of knowing too much. Sometimes she swore he could see into her thoughts, her fears, her memories. The forest remained. The fog returned every autumn like clockwork, and every time she followed Ash, drawn to him, drawn to the whispers, drawn to the impossible paths he led her down. She began to notice that she wasn't the only one in the forest. Shadows moved in patterns that made no sense. Shapes hovered just beyond the trees. A faint glow in the distance, a soft laughter that vanished when she tried to focus on it. And always, Ash guided her safely through it. One winter night, Ash did not return. She searched endlessly. The fog was merciless, the forest unrecognizable. Days bled into nights, weeks passed. Lila's room felt hollow. The air smelled faintly of smoke and damp earth. Then, she found a single black feather on her pillow. Years went by. Lila moved to a different town, tried to forget, but she never could. In the corner of her mind, she felt him watching, in the rustle of trees, in the hush of fog, in the quietest moments. He was there. Sometimes, in dreams, she would see Ash again, his amber eyes glowing in the dark, whispering secrets she could never fully understand. And sometimes she would wake to find a small gift by her bed, a feather, a coin, a tiny locket. She knew, somehow, that Ash had never really left. Some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. Some bonds are eternal. And some love, quiet, impossible, haunting, transcends time, space, and the boundaries of life itself.